all men are looking for is intimacy. And intimacy is not sex. Intimacy is someone who loves you and they know everything about you. And I mean, good, bad, all the stuff, and love you anyway. This is why, you love your mom. Because your mom knows you at your bad, when you're bad and you're good, but she loves you no matter what. And that's what I felt from Rebecca.
Yeah, just true
my wife. It was unconditional. It was like, now she loved me enough that she had to leave me. Mm-hmm. She was like, I love you so much, I can't stay with you. Mm-hmm. And I was like, what does that mean?
Yeah.
And I figured it was like, yo, you need to understand the consequences of these actions.
Yeah. It's the Ken Harvey thing. She just had to say no and put some boundaries.
You see what I'm saying? The boundaries, man, is our love boundaries.
Yeah.
You got to set these boundaries because I love you. Yeah. You know? And the only discipline that works is self-discipline.
Yeah.
If I was to tell you and discipline you, and it won't work.
Yeah, we teach that in our program, the difference between external discipline and internal discipline. Like external discipline is imposed on you, but until you have the internal discipline, you're never really gonna you never really have the results you're looking for, right?
Oh, let me tell you, once I got another shot, and once I realized, oh my God, this is it. I ran full-fledged into a self-disciplined life. I began to train. And when I say train, meaning I went into developing my plan for who I wanted to be. I wrote down exactly the person that I wanted to be from here on out. So that it was written, and if anything deviated from that, I know I'm off. But if you don't have a plan, you literally don't know what house you're building. You know what I'm saying? You're like, is it circular? Is it square? Or whatever? And I realized, man, I started writing down the dreams, writing down everything that I want, that God told me I should be doing. And I started to discipline myself, man. It was like from the workout, like you mentioned, the resiliency and spirit and physical and mental. And it started small, but those little victories turn into big victories.
The subject of disciplines, like it's something I've worked on my whole life, and it's super important to me. And like reading your book and hearing you talk right now, it's the contrast of like, you were super disciplined professionally, obviously, like as an athlete, fitness wise, you get your, chest bouncing and
it's still there.
So like you're obviously like super disciplined there, but then in some personal morality and character things you struggle with, right? So you can be disciplined in one area or not disciplined in another, and that's where like I think this whole totality of like mind, body, spirit, social. When I teach it, I talk about like a chair, right? You got 4 legs: mind, body, spirit, social. If you can balance it right with no weight in it, it stands up. But if one of these are weak and you sit down in it, it's gonna break it, right?
Let me tell you, I had a weak leg. And it was pornography.
Yeah, that's what like you dealt with pornography, and I know you mentioned the massage parlor, which I actually man to man, I made me like super proud to see you just come out like I listened to the audiobook and you just said it, man. I was like, that's a real man.
The day that happened was a very dark day.
Yeah.
But it was the accumulation of all these bad habits.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? It's like, what I realize is good habits lead to good things, but the bad ones, it's cause and effect. You know what I'm saying? And you can't, if you change the cause, you get a different effect.
Right.
But what happened with me is that was the one thing I thought I could never be. And I just always had that as a crutch. It was like like alcohol or a drug, or when I got depressed or anything, I would escape to it.
Pornography is more powerful than any of those.
Dude, because it's wired into us. You know what I mean? And but one thing what was crazy is that when it happened, I vowed. I said, I'll never ever tell my wife. I'll never that I was unfaithful at a massage parlor. I'll never say it. This is a secret I'm going to die with, and that's it. But what was weird is that over the years, she was suspicious. And so, she'd say things or whatever, and I'd start arguments, so we couldn't,
Yeah.
but, one lie you got to go to another lie. Like,
right.
you got to tell two to fix that one, then you forget which lie did I tell? Like, you know what I mean? It's you're trying to cover, you're trying to do all this stuff. And it was wild because slowly but surely, we were getting more and more separated. Like every time I partook of anything pornographic, it put a brick between the relationship between me and my wife. Mm-hmm. And listen, man, I was going to church. Mm-hmm. You see what I'm saying? I called myself a Christian. I was doing all this stuff, but it was like, that.
That secrecy is a wedge.
But see, but it was because I was hanging on to my ego. Because this is the thing. I thought if my wife knew about all the real me, she would hate me. And because I felt disgusted about myself. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? You don't feel proud. It all comes with shame. That stuff comes with lots of shame. And so everything shame-based, you run and hide. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. It's like, when God came to Adam and Eve in the garden, the whole thing is they hid. Yeah. Because as soon as that shame hits, man, you run. Yeah. And I said, man, once I came clean, and this was 10 years after it happened, but my wife was asking me, she said, what is it I don't know about you, Terry Crews? What is it? Because she's always known. And I remember just being so exhausted because the thing is being two people, because that's what I was. Yeah. It was like you have a double life. You get exhausted. It's tired. It's a lot of work being two people. You know what I mean? Which one, like I said, which lie did I tell? Where am I? Mm-hmm. I just told her. Yeah. And it was over. My relationship was over. Everything was over. And I was like, oh my God, like, how did I get in this place? And I was successful, Chad. Wait, you're talking about movies, TV shows, money. Everybody loved me. They were like, oh, Terry Crews, you're good. And listen, Hollywood does not care if you lose your wife and your kids. They don't care. They literally are like, great. Now we can put you in more movies. Yeah. You don't have to go home. You can just actually go from one set to the next because you don't have a home anymore. Right. And I was like, this is not
what you want. Yeah.
Look, writing down all those goals, that ain't me. That's not what it is. That's not how I wanted to be. And I realized I needed more help than I could do on my own. And so we went to a counselor. We went to a place called Psychological Counseling Services in Arizona. And that dealt with a lot of even preachers that have gotten into all kinds of affairs and weird stuff. Yeah. And I remember going in there and I was like, whoa, no, this ain't me, man. And then they were reading my mail. Like by the end of the day, they were like, is your father alcoholic? I was like, yeah. I said, is your mom, was she really religious? I was like, how'd you know that? I was like, man, these guys reading my mail like crazy. And I was like, oh my God, I had all these markers. Right. All these things. And you tend to, all these things you can hide behind. Mm-hmm. And this is where the transparency thing came. Because I was like, I have to tell it. I have to actually tell who I am and what I'm going through. And it's wild, man, because you start stuttering. It's like the first time
you don't want to say it.
You feel like no one can ever know this. You vowed. I made a vow in my heart that I would never, ever tell. And here I am, opening my mouth to speak what I thought was unspeakable. Because I had fooled myself and everybody else in my life into, I can't reveal who I am. But remember, and I said, for every man, you're looking for intimacy, right? But how can you ever get intimacy if your wife doesn't know who you are?
You can't.
Yeah. It's impossible.
Yeah, it requires transparency.
It requires
to have true intimacy. Guys, I'm a lifelong athlete. I've tried all kind of things, from every different diet, from all different supplements, tons of different things to make my body as healthy and as functional as possible. I heard about BioPro years ago from jiu-jitsu athletes, from UFC fighters, and they're all friends of mine who I trust that were telling me, you have to try a BioPro, and I did. I experienced a tremendous result, mostly in my sleep, to where I was sleeping 4 or 5 hours a night, to where I immediately went to sleeping 9 hours a night. BioPro has helped my recovery, my mental focus. I am a believer. I love it, or I would not be promoting it. If you're interested, go to bioproteintech.com and get yours